Hello, and welcome to another discussion of the philosophy of Saint Thomas Aquinas. My name is Joe McGee, and today I'd like to take up the question, do the proofs for the existence of God prove a single God? Atheists believe that there is not sufficient warrant for any God, including a single supreme God believed in by various kinds of monotheists, especially Jews, Christians, and Muslims. Many, though not all, theists will object that there is warrant or evidence for the reality of their God, the so-called proofs for the existence of God. The most famous and widely cited and critiqued of these proofs are the 5 ways of Saint Thomas Aquinas. In other discussions, I have shown that Aquinas does not think that in his 5 ways he has, or even that he can, demonstrate that the God whose existence each proof establishes is the Christian God, who is a trinity of persons, the second person of whom became incarnate in the man Jesus Christ. Aquinas, like other religious monotheists, recognize that each of these proofs demonstrate that there is a referent for the nominal definition of God, that is, the term ultimate cause for the universe, or some feature thereof. Moving beyond what can be proved, he nevertheless recognizes that the referent so demonstrated is also the referent of the God he believes in through religious faith. But this seems to mean that religious faith is necessary to see that what each proof demonstrates is the same God. That is, one and the same thing is referred to as the ultimate cause under various descriptions. These proofs then, even if they were successful, would still fall short of proving a monotheistic God. For who's to say that what caused the universe, or the other features of it detailed by the 5 ways, is one single cause? One wonders if those raising this critique even bother to read anything else from the Summa Theologiae, from which the 5 ways come, since Aquinas addresses the unity of God in Part 1, Question 11, Article 3. First, Aquinas invokes what has come to be known as Occam's razor. Though having died 13 years before the birth of William of Ockham, Aquinas would not have attributed it to the Franciscan theologian, that and the fact that the principle has been used throughout the history of philosophy. Also called the principle of parsimony, it states that a simpler explanation is to be preferred to a more complex one. If there were many causes, it would need to be explained why they came together in a unified and coordinated result, namely a single universe. Next, he gives a more substantive reason that there is and must be only one God, his perfection. For it was shown that God comprehends in himself the whole perfection of being. If then many gods existed, they would necessarily differ from each other. Something therefore would belong to one which did not belong to another. And if this were a privation, one of them would not be absolutely perfect. But if a perfection, one of them would be without it. There cannot be more than one perfect being, for if there were, they must differ from one another in some respect. And this is an application of what has come to be known Leibniz's law, or the law of identity of indiscernibles. If 2 perfect beings share all the same attributes, as they must since they are both perfect, they would be the same thing. If they don't, they're not both perfect. If one had a perfection the other did not, the one without it would not in fact be perfect. Hence, more than one perfect being is not possible. Aquinas continues, so it is impossible for many gods to exist. Hence also the ancient philosophers, constrained as it were by truth, when they asserted an infinite principle, asserted likewise that there was only one such principle. And of course Aquinas is right. Many diverse ancient Greek and Roman philosophers were monotheists. Plotinus, Marcus Aurelius, the Stoics, Aristotle, Plato, even as far back as Xenophanes, who around 500 BC seems to have been the first to reason in this way, that because God is perfect, he must be one. Xenophanes reasoned over 2,500 years ago. The God as understood through reason is nothing like the myriad divinities of various mythologies, and there could not be more than one of him, despite what atheists would have you believe. So if there is anything truly divine, as the first cause of perfection we find in the universe must be, it would have to be singular. Of course, this depends on there being a first cause of the perfection of the universe, which Aquinas proves in the 4th way. Aquinas gives a final and most definitive reason, which is in fact the metaphysical basis for the other 2, Every creature is metaphysically complex, while the Creator cannot be, and so it must be unique. There can only be one thing whose essence is its existence. As I noted in another video, Aquinas says in the very article prior to the five ways, one must know that a thing is its existence before one can know what it is, its essence. The procedure is used in science all the time, as when discovering a planet 9 or dark matter. One must establish that such postulates exist before one can know any more about them. From the fact that we distinguish between existence and essence, between that a thing is and what it is, Aquinas will argue that in God they are not distinct. And he does this in the very next question that follows the five ways, in question 3, article 4. Therefore, that thing whose existence differs from its essence must have its existence caused by another. But this cannot be true of God, because we call God the first efficient cause. Therefore, it is impossible that in God his existence should differ from his essence. Aquinas, of course, is referring to his third way, so one of the proofs gives the metaphysical basis for why there cannot be more than one necessary cause of the universe. Aquinas gives a little more detail of this reasoning in chapter 4 of a short early work of his called On Being and Essence. That seems to be ignored by both atheist and theist apologists alike. There, he distinguishes what he means by essence from what is meant by existence. He argues that what a thing is, its essence, is distinct from the fact that it is, its existence, since we can know the essence of both things that have existence and of things that do not. We can know what a man is, the essence of something with existence, a real essence, and what a phoenix is, something with an essence but without existence. Since one of these essences has existence and one does not, essence is not the same as existence. And an essence becomes real by having its existence caused by something other than itself. If a thing is contingent, it might not be, and if it might not be, but is actual, then what it is, its essence, is other than what makes it to be real, its act of existing. And its act of existing is caused by something other than itself. This would apply even to temporally necessary things, things that, if they exist, always exist. Such necessary things might still not be, as is clear in the case of the phoenix, which never actually exists. But also if the material universe were eternal, as Aristotle believed. It also might not have been. In every case of things that might not be, both temporally limited things like chickens or people, or a universe that exploded from a big bang, and things not temporally limited, like a phoenix or an eternal material universe, the fact that they may or may not exist shows that what they are, their essence, is other than that they are, their existence. Even contingent beings, which conceivably would always exist, as a phoenix would, if it were real, or an eternal material universe. The only thing that can explain the actual existence of contingent beings individually and as a whole is something that is not contingent, that is, something that is self-necessary. And the only thing that can be self-necessary is something for which what makes it real, its act of existing, is not other than its essence. That is, its essence, what it is, just is its act of existing. Note that Aquinas is not saying that this thing causes itself to be. That would be crazy, since it would have to exist before it exists in order to cause itself to exist. Aquinas calls this self-necessary being the subsisting act of to be itself, in Latin, Ipsum Esse Subsistens, or pure act of existing, actus purus essendi. In this way, Aquinas believes that God revealed himself to Moses in the burning bush in Exodus 3:14 as I am who am, and like perfection, actually because the act of existing is perfection, there cannot be two subsisting acts of to be itself. For if there were two, they would have to differ in some way, and one have what the other lacked. The one who had this attribute would not be its own act of existing, but the differing attribute plus an act of existing. And the very purity of the pure act of to be, that is God, makes him unique. So the reason there cannot be more than one God is that God alone is the first necessary cause, the being without a cause which makes it to be, but which ultimately causes everything which is caused to be, which is everything whose essence is not its existence, which is everything other than God. So everything other than God is caused by the only being that is not caused, and this can only be one and unique. So Aquinas does offer arguments for why the God proved in the five ways is the same one and only God. These arguments, while not the five ways themselves, do depend on the five ways and are extensions of them. And they extend over the few pages before and after the five ways, if anyone who critiques these proofs care to look. Thanks for watching, and please comment and let me know whether you think the ultimate cause of the universe must be a single, unique, transcendent God. Also, please like this video and subscribe for more videos about Saint Thomas Aquinas and on theist and Catholic apologetics. Take care and God bless.